Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to talk about sertraline and the side effects of sertraline. I've come out for a walk, and typically, as usually English weather, it's rain and sunny at the same time. So yeah, I've been on sertraline for about 3 years. I started on 15 mil, and side effects were awful. And I'm going to talk about those side effects, and do they eventually slow down and kind of disappear, which the answer is yeah. Now sertraline, I didn't want to go onto it at first because of issues that I had in my life, and I was struggling, my personal life and things going on, and so I decided, from advice from friends, to go on sertraline. And the first few weeks were awful. Basically, the biggest ones I had were insomnia. Now, they were kind of the worst. I think I had proper insomnia. Mine lasted, I say, about 2 to 3 weeks. Now, I don't know if that was just because of, obviously, the sertraline getting into my body. It's also called Zoloft in America. I don't know if that's because my anxieties were coming through and that's why it lasted a longer period. And I don't know how long of a period it lasts for other people. So if you comment down below and let me know what you guys, as insomnia affected you. But it certainly lasted quite a while for me. And in the first week alone, I was probably having about 3 hours sleep. I just tossing and turning, and it was just awful. I was getting up out of bed 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, just doing random things to try and get to, to try and wear me out. Go back to bed, and I'd eventually fall asleep, at some point, and I'd wake up again, and I'd have probably about, first week, 3 hours sleep at most, and I was exhausted, and that was awful. And that will last for about just under 3 weeks, I guess. Then the second side effect was my head. I felt like spaced out, proper spaced out. It was as if I was on a boat, and it was rocking all the time. I felt like my head was just phased, and it almost felt like I just didn't want to do anything. It was just awful. And this was in the first 3 weeks alone again, and it was just awful. I think the first week was the worst one. Actually, the first few days I did definitely get a headache. It was almost like a migraine, so I had to take ibuprofen for those. And they subsided a bit, I guess, after the first week. And then again, the head was, I felt spaced out. And just that alone was annoying and frustrating. I remember I was going to Ireland, moving from England to Ireland at one point, and we were going down to Holyhead. And this is when we were kids, and we'd drive all the way down to Holyhead, and we'd be on the boat, going all the way to Dublin, and then from Dublin down to Southern Ireland. And we'd be down that point, and then we'd be, I think, if I remember, it was about 30 hours of travelling, and that was just annoying. And I felt it, you could feel it. And I'm trying to explain this side, the feeling of what sertraline felt like. It's as if you've been on a long journey, and it's taken you for hours to get there, and you're exhausted, but the problem is you couldn't sleep as well. So that's the second one. Feeling ill. Yes, my stomach felt like I wanted to throw up at first. The first week, it was awful. It almost felt like I wanted to throw up properly, and I couldn't. When you're hungover, and you almost feel like someone's saying, do you want a sloppy burger with chips and ice cream, and you feel like, bleh. It felt like that. But and the worst is when you've got an empty stomach, and you feel that way. I think the first 2 days my appetite was also kind of gone. I had no appetite whatsoever. Literally had no appetite. And even though I was eating, I just didn't want to eat. What else? My anxiety really properly kicked in. And I mean proper kicked in. It went through the roof. And it wasn't as if I was actually thinking negative thoughts. I was, because one of the reasons why I went to Sertraline was for negative thinking. You know, during COVID, I had a proper kind of negative thought pattern going on because I couldn't work. I just didn't feel like I wanted to get out of bed. I didn't want to do anything. I felt really lost, and I felt isolated, and I felt like crying. And even though I couldn't explain it to friends, you know, I had to ring the doctor up, and they knew exactly what I was going through, because they were saying it's not you, it's the tablets. You're allowing this SRI to get into your body, and it's taking all, it's kind of seeping into your brain and all that stuff, and it's how it's working. It's going to take a few weeks, and just basically the first few weeks I would have much support around you and take those first few weeks off. Make sure you're looking after yourself, go on and exercise and all that. And I did. I got a few friends, speaking to them. There's another one I had, and it was sound. Even though it wasn't, it felt like supersonic, you know, like sounds outside. Like I remember my neighbour banging one day, and after a while I just screamed into a pillow because it was too much. Kids playing outside, and they're only kids, and it was my hearing became super sensitive, and you know that I would just put down to the sertraline. Dreams were affected, and I've heard that people have had nightmares and all sorts of stuff. And I'm a very creative person, and I'm very visually minded, and I noticed that sertraline enhanced that in some way, good and sometimes bad. I'd have some horrible nightmares, and they were almost so realistic. And there was another thing that came out as well, is I don't know if this is to do with sertraline, and I can't put that down to sertraline. This just could be mine. And I spoke to the doctor about this, and I spoke to a counsellor about this, and they were saying because of things that have gone in your life, it could be down to this, that because I don't verbalise my anger and frustration, that I might be doing it in my sleep. So I remember going to Turkey with a friend, and I told her this before. Says, I just got to let you know, sometimes I swear I'm asleep, and sometimes I wake up, and I'm in a cemetery, and I always come to this cemetery because it's such a beautiful walk. And I remember waking up going, F this, and pig bunny. It felt like I had Tourette's. And being in Turkey, I shared a room with my mate, and she says, "Good morning." She says, "You've got Tourette's, you have scared me." I said, "Do you mean?" And I was laughing. She says, "You said stupid, you know, all this." It's like, she goes, you said 1 minute, applesauce pig bum with farts, saying, you know. it was as if my mind was jumbling all this anger and frustration and saying it. And my mate came over one day, and he says, "It's so hilarious." And I think it's partly to do with the sertraline, and partly to do with, because especially men do not know how to actually verbalise their anger and frustration, and it all comes out inside in the dreams. And definitely my dreams were affected, and sometimes I'd have fantastic dreams. Sometimes I feel like going, "Oh, I want to go back to sleep, I like that dream." Sometimes I've had dreams of my mum and dad, and sometimes they're horrific. You know, my dad is angry, my mum's angry, and I don't know why. And sometimes I've had dreams where they're happy and content. And so those were my experiences of sertraline and the effects that they had. And some people turn around and say that in the bedroom, you know, sexy time. That didn't affect me. Thankfully, that never affected me. Also, dry mouth. It's not as bad as what most people said they get. I definitely get dry mouth, and I intend to drink water a lot of the time, so maybe that just takes that edge away sometimes, but I definitely get dry mouth. But in the first few weeks, those are the effects that I had, and they certainly did affect me. And now they just kind of, they just dissipate. And also as well, I was taking sertraline around about 7 in the evening. I stopped that because I don't know if that was causing the staying awake, the insomnia. So I changed that. Now I'm taking sertraline around about 12 o'clock in the day, and I find that helps. So if you like this channel, let me know. It's a new channel. I really want to get this out there because I want to talk about mental health, especially for men. Men go through a lot of crap and we don't talk about it. It's almost like we're scared to talk about stuff. We don't get the emotions out. That's why men are almost lightly angry all the time. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care. Bye.